Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Not Afraid to Garden. So today's episode we're going to talk about actually just clippings, plant clippings, right? So sometimes you get a plant clipping and you may probably put it in water, and that's okay because then, you know, with time it grows the roots. But I have another way that you're able to grow those roots. And I'm going to show you that in just a few minutes, but I'm also going to show you how to build a terrarium. I've got a glass that's probably about this big, and I'm going to create a terrarium with that. So I have moss growing in my property here, so I'm just going to go over behind me here, and then I'm going to kind of pick up some of that moss so that way I can use in my terrarium. And then I'll show you what else I'm going to be using with the clippings or the cuttings of those plants to be able to grow those roots. So if you follow me, let's come back here. And I'll show you how to pick up this moss. So if it's something that you already have at home, it's fantastic. It's not going to cost you anything. So again, I always try to use what I have available, and if not, then I can always go out and spend a couple of dollars. But for now, again, I'm gonna just come into this moss. I'm trying to pick it up from underneath and try to get some of that soil. I want to be able to grab the soil also to use the moss. So I'm doing it very carefully. I just have my little shovel here, and see how I'm lifting it up here? So I'm just going to lift quite a bit of it. I'm not sure how much I'm going to use, so I'm going to try to take probably as much as I can here. What's nice is actually the whole thing is coming up. It's lifting. It's not lifting up in pieces, so I can cut what I need to use. So I'm going to pick this up here, and I think I should be fine with this. So look at this nice piece that I picked up, guys. I'm just going to toss it over real quick, and look how nice. It's a little bit sandy here, which is okay for my terrarium. So I'm going to be able to, actually I should have gloves, but I don't have them on for now, but that's okay. Very carefully, because this moss can literally fall apart on you. So we're going to go to the greenhouse now, and let's see what we're going to do with this. Hey guys, so today we want to talk about those clippings, right, that I talked about. And sometimes, you know, maybe a friend of ours might give us some type of clippings of plants. I'll just show you. I'm going to do that with my Tradescantia here. So if someone gives you a little plant like this, you can actually, this one is easy because it's got little tiny roots that it grows along each little branch here along the way there. And you can literally you can actually just place this in water, just the same way that I place this one in water. And that's okay. There's a couple of different ways of doing this, but that one you have to continue to change the water probably every 3 days. You need to be changing that water. So another way is to create these containers. You see this? And I keep my clippings in here. I place them in here. And this is just a plastic container. This was actually from a pepperoni bread that we purchased. So as soon as we were done, you know, I just saved these containers. I had that one. I think this one came from, these were mango slices. So I saved that container. And then I had this other container. I'm not sure what I had in here. But I have turned these containers into my growing containers for my clippings, for my plants. And you can do the same thing at home. So this way, again, it's on a budget. What I really just stress to you guys is use what you have. Please don't go out there and have to spend extra money on something that you already have in your home. So if you have these containers and you throw them away, just hold on to them. Put them in an area where, you know, later on you can come back to them. So what I've done is I have my container, right? And in this container, I place sphagnum moss. You purchase this at your Home Depot, Lowe's, any nursery place. And then you place your clippings in here. And what this does is actually, it still speeds up the process of rooting your plants, because this becomes like a mini greenhouse. So you see all the humidity that holds in there. So this is not that I'm spraying the top here. This is actually the humidity itself. Again, I do keep this in the greenhouse, and the greenhouse stays pretty warm. So I constantly get that humidity in there, and which is what I want. I do want that. So what I've done is, let me show you that sphagnum moss. This here, as you can see, you can buy this any nursery, any Home Depot place. Sphagnum moss. And this one, yeah, the name brand for this one is Moserly. I know they're not sponsoring me, so it's just that I bought their brand. And it has worked for me, guys. I've used this, lots of this in some of my flower pots. Do you know that you can actually grow your plants with the sphagnum moss itself, and not even use soil? So that's another project. So what I've done is, took the sphagnum moss, I placed it in my container here, and then with a sprayer, I just sprayed it. I spray it until it just becomes wet, moist. I don't want water sitting in here because I don't want anything to rot. I want it wet enough that, you know what, it's moist. See that? It's just moist, it's not dry. Then I've got some clippings in here already that I put in here probably about a week ago. So I've got Peperomia Ruby Cascade clippings that I have from a plant that actually I ordered this plant online. 3 clippings, not rooted. I actually allowed them to sit for a while. They did root, planted them, and then I got clippings from that. So here is my little clipping. I don't have roots yet. No roots yet. Again, it's only been a week. And I have 1, 2, 3 clippings in here. So what I do is I lay it right on top, right here. I just put a little bit of the moss on the where it splits there, where I know that I could get a root. Actually, wherever you have a leaf, you could end up with a root there. Okay, so just put a little bit of the sphagnum moss right on top, and that's it. Then I even have my string of pearls. This one, I have some roots on here. See that? I have some little roots on there. So I'm going to leave it here till I get more roots. And then again, I'm going to do the same thing, just a little bit of the sphagnum moss on top. And then I have another, actually I have my no, this is not a monstera. This is a syngonium. And this syngonium, for some, it's one of those trailing ones. So this one, I have the mother plant in the greenhouse in here. And actually, see those roots? I got roots here, and I should be able to get roots on this side here too. So once I get longer roots, I'll be able to, look at this one, guys. See that? I'll be able to clip it further down from here. This becomes a plant, this becomes a plant, and this becomes a plant. So I can get 3 plants out of this, just this clipping. And again, I'm growing them with the sphagnum moss. And I just literally just kind of put the moss on top of it a little bit where the root is. And then close it up. And every week I come in and just take a look at it. You need to make sure that it gets plenty of light. And then make sure water is not sitting underneath. You just want it to be moist. And then when you come in, maybe once a week. Just check your moss, make sure it's not dry or anything, and just a little spray. Close it up. And this is your little growing little greenhouse. So I've got that one. I've got this other one here. Here, I'm actually growing, again, I put the syngodium in this little flower pot with the moss. See that, guys? So that's all that I have supporting this. My roots are coming in. Can you see that root right there? And then eventually what I can do is then snip it here, and I will probably end up with 2 plants, because look, see the roots growing under there? I'm going to place it right back in there and place it in here. Now I can do this in a little flower pot and put it upright because this plastic is deep enough for me to do that. Then I have, remember the video that you guys watched that I did the golden chain trees? So these are the seeds, guys. See the seeds growing in? Remember, these get huge, but again, we're starting them in these little flower pots, and I have them with this sphagnum moss here, again, because the humidity that it maintains in here. And these are also more of the golden chain trees, as you see growing on here. So it is working for me. So even though I have a greenhouse, but I still keep it in here just to push that process a little, you know, speed it up a little bit more. So that's what I have in that one. And then I have another one here. And here, actually, yeah, this is the one with the mango slices that I had. And here I am growing. I've got the name of this little plant here. It's actually like an annual plant, but I wanted to be able to get some roots so I can put it in my flower pot, and then just have it growing there. And this is actually a ginger that I have. This is a ginger, ornamental ginger. And this plant, it has a yellow flower that it opens up at the top once it's finished, and it grows spiral. But I'm waiting for it to give me roots again in the little nodes, the little section here, actually. See that? So I have it growing in there. So I can't wait for that. And again, these are clippings from other plants that I have. But if you want your inventory of plants to grow, you can do this, guys, and you don't have to keep going out there and buying plants after plant. You can continue to grow your own plants. So that's what I have here. So that's another idea. You can put them in water, but you have to change the water every couple of days, and you have to do that. Or you know what, you can place them here like this, stack them up, place it somewhere where you get plenty of light, and just keep an eye on them. Once everything roots, just switch it over and plant it in a flower pot. So now actually I'm going to show you guys how to create a small terrarium. Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about the putting together a small terrarium. And a terrarium is pretty much just an enclosed glass container that you can put plants, and it serves more like a mini greenhouse. So today I'm going to use this bowl. My mom gave me actually this bowl, so I figured, hey, why not turn it into a terrarium? So what I've done is I put in some pebbles. They're small pebbles, and the purpose of the pebbles is so that way I have drainage in here. Let me roll up my sleeves a little bit here, guys. So I can have drainage in here. And then remember, I did pick up my moss outside. You guys saw me do that. So got a couple of plants that I'm going to use to place in here. Again, there's a variety of plants to use. Use more of the plants that like moisture. I know ferns do. Maybe try to purchase the smaller ferns. I have actually a small lady's hair fern. Anyway, I can't reach it right now. But anyway, that's a small fern. And I also have another small fern that I am going to use in this terrarium. And it's already rooted, so I already have my roots on here. All of these plants I have roots. Here's my Swedish ivy, Sweden ivy. I have roots on both of them. This is actually an ivy, but I want to grow it in here as little tiny, like little trees, little plants. So if it starts getting starts to trail too much, I'll just snip it, and then I'll continue to keep it pretty low. I'm going to use some marble pothos, and I'm also going to use a Tradescantia Wandering Jew. Again, I already have roots on all of these. And this plant, don't know the name of this plant. Actually, look, I have a pretty big root on this one. This one I picked this up. We went hiking at the Poconos this past summer, and it was in the wooded area. So I don't know if I should have picked it up, but anyway, I believe it's some type of orchid, and it's got these little veiny leaves with little squares on there. So I'll look up the name later. And then again, I've got these roots, so it's been doing pretty good where I had it. Had it in a little tiny pot with the sphagnum moss. So I'm going to start with putting in my moss that I picked up, and I kind of cut a round piece because again my bowl is round. So I'm just going to put it on top of those pebbles there. Kind of press it down a little bit. I want to be able to stay pretty sturdy. And then I'm going to I'll put that later on anyway. So I'm going to start to place my plants in here. I'm going to start with the larger ones, maybe I'm going to poke a little hole in the moss itself, and then place the plant in there. I want that towards the back. So there's going to, although it's a round bowl, I'm going to have it, it's going to be set up where the larger plants are in the back. My second one with the root there, I'm going to place in here, close to that Wandering Jew, and then I'm going to put the other of those on the other side. So I'm going to, with my finger, I can get a little hole in there. And the root is in the moss itself, guys. It's very important to have those roots in the moss. And as it's coming along, look how beautiful it is. So you can see how that's moving along in there. As it continues to grow, you guys, you're going to be able to see how beautiful this is, how it's going to turn out. And I'm going to here. I'm going to plant this one a little bit towards the front because that one is pretty short. And I want to make sure that I have my roots in there. Be very careful, guys, not to damage those roots when you're putting the plants in there. And then I have my Sweden ivy, and I'm going to plant that just to the left and right of that plant that I picked up at the Poconos. So I have one, I have actually two. So I'll plant that one on the other side here. Again, I'm poking the hole in the moss because I need this to be in the moss. Those roots have to be in the moss. Then my fern, I'm going to place that in the center because ferns tend to grow like up. Those leaves tend to go up like this, looking for the light. So that's going to be really beautiful, just looking straight up for that light. It's going to expand over everything there. So I have a little bit of moss left, and I'm going to moisten that moss like this. And then I'm going to use this moss like on the ground here of that ground moss. So my sphagnum moss is going on top of my other moss. And this again is more for moisture and just to keep those roots really moistened in there. And try to grab as much as I can, especially my wandering root back here. Only because it's got roots higher up, and I want that to definitely stay within there. So now I'm going to take my pieces of this green moss that I picked up, and I'm just going to put it all around the edges. I want to make it look like it's going up like this, right? So that way, again, you're looking more for the natural look of this environment. So normally you have moss growing all the way around. So that's what I'm doing back here. I'm placing also the moss in the back. And another piece of that moss back here. I'm going to use as much as I can, guys. Actually, I might use all of it. And as I go along, I am misting the moss and the plants. I don't want them to dry up at all. At no point should your plants or terrarium should be dry completely. It's not good for the roots, and it's not good for the moss either, because remember that moss loves the humidity and the moisture. So every now and then just come in and just spray a little bit in there. So I've used, actually I have little pieces more of the sphagnum moss layer on here. And what I'll do, guys, later on I'll take a picture of my overlook here and just show you what that looks like also, because I know that you guys can see the side, inside like this. So I don't know if you can technically see it very well from up here. So these are all my plants that I have here. You know what's another good plant to place in here? I believe they're called patinas, and they're kind of the leaves are very nervy. There's a lot of, and they come in green with white little nerves on there. And then there's some that are, I think it's pink with white nerves on there also. Those plants are beautiful, and actually they're perfect for the terrarium. So I have this bowl that I'm going to place on top, and this is going to keep in here the humidity pretty much contained in here. So here's my terrarium, and I'm going to keep it for a couple of days in the greenhouse until those roots kind of catch on to that moss, and then I'll probably take it inside the house because I want to be able to look at it all the time. I do like it, and so guys, you can put together a nice small terrarium, and again, that could be your little mini greenhouse also. Don't forget to clean up once you're done, so I'll clean that up. So again, guys, another episode with something to do with your plants. Again, there's never a dull moment when you're working with plants. There's always something to do. There's always a project to do. So go out there and start a project or do something interesting with your plants. You know, the way you plant them, the way you showcase them, and there's just so much to do. So guys, so don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button, and don't forget to like. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.